We begin here tonight, though, with Governor Ron DeSantis. Busy day signing a group of laws into law today. Has huge impacts on Florida. Good evening, everyone. Welcome here to ABC Action News at 5:30. I'm Paul LaGrone. It all started today with House Bill 7, the so-called Stop Woke Act. It prohibits Florida's public schools and private businesses from making people feel uncomfortable or guilty over their race, sex, or national origin. The governor's saying, quote, "We believe in education, not indoctrination." That was just one of several bills that the governor signed, capping off a very busy week in Florida politics. The governor also signed 3 bills targeting the Walt Disney World Company, and he also signed into law the new congressional maps into law today. So let's get some context here as we bring in our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders. Forrest, the lawsuits are already being filed challenging those congressional maps as expected.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. And if you're tired, try and stay awake because there is a lot to get through here. The first lawsuit that we saw today coming from the League of Women Voters as well as several other progressive groups. And what they're essentially saying in that lawsuit is that the new map, which the governor signed into law today, violates the Fair Districts Amendment, which was put into place here in the Florida Constitution several years ago.
Listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Back on the grill again, we grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to US Southern plantations. Pennies, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one, cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire, anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country, the win. You need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Put them back on the grill again, we grilling them. Back on the grill again, we grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Welcome to Reset Race. My name is John C., and I am an average American Negro. We are back with the fam tonight. We're going to be discussing some important issues. Something going down with Florida with some redistricting, with some real, I can't pronounce districting. You know what we're talking about. They're basically trying to do some things in Florida that we feel like we got to speak on regarding our people. So, with that being said, let's get right to it. As always, ladies first. Sam, the Khaleesi, introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Sam. I'm not really on Twitter because I'm busy. And you can follow our official Reset Race at our Reset Race Twitter at Reset Race. You can check out our at resetrace.org. We're on Patreon. Come find us over there. We're kind of getting back into the swing of things slowly but surely as we start to rev up as we move into the midterms. So thank you for joining us. And today should be a good show because Florida is wilding. So next up, Joey.
All hail King Killmonger. I actually wanted to say my intro today. Engage with the content. Like if you're gonna watch, make a comment. Like that's important. Feed the algorithm. Beyond that, let's get to the show.
Facts. Mud, what you got, cousin?
All right, they call me Mud. You can catch me on my social media, Twitter, Instagram, of lineage. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. This is kind of crazy.
If it's in the evening, every time she says black and brown or people of color, take.
Joining me now is Florida Democratic State Representative Angie Nixon. Representative Nixon, a pleasure to have you here today. I want you to quickly walk us through, yes, please walk us through quickly how the political landscape in Florida is going to change under this new proposed map.
Right. So yesterday was a direct attack on democracy staged by a politically ambitious governor by the name of Ron DeSantis. And so yesterday he eliminated 50% of, well, he's going to sign, but we voted to, I voted against, to eliminate 50% of Black representation in Congress. And what that's going to mean is that's going to mean the fact that we're going to have a lack of access to our members, a lack of access to quality health care, a lack of access for funding that helps improve our quality of life. We're already having trouble having conversations with folks from the other side. Oftentimes, it's particularly the governor's office. He won't return our calls. He won't return our emails. And so that illustrates just how he would be if he wins governor again and if he wins president of the United States, which is really what he wants to do.
Representative, I just want to get this clear. Are you saying that the governor of the state of Florida, for which you are currently a representative and you're representing constituents here in the state of Florida, that the governor won't respond to phone calls or emails when they're offered up by people like you and other members of the minority?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. There have been numerous times where we've reached out to the governor's office in regards to assisting some of our constituents. We oftentimes don't get return callbacks. We oftentimes don't get return emails or texts. And so it's just a blatant, it's a blatant attempt to just disregard the Black community. And so, I mean, that just illustrates how he's been running and governing this state the past 2 years. Look, last year there was the HB1, the anti-protest bill, which we like to call Hate Bill 1. And then this year, he pushed the Stop Learning Act, which he wants to label the Stop Woke Act, which he's actually probably going to be signing today, is what we heard. And so what that does is it's pushing policies because he doesn't want to say Black, right? Don't say Black here in the state of Florida. The governor has an issue with Black people here. It was apparent yesterday when he eliminated 50% of our representation in Congress. It's apparent by the fact that he is banning books because he banned he's banning math books. One of the math problems illustrated the health disparities that African Americans have as it relates to sickle cell. That was just one. And so this governor is a bully. He will stop at nothing because of his political ambitions to be president of the United States. Look, he's even bullying Walt Disney, someone who he accepted money from, right? Someone who many of the Republicans accepted money from.
It will put into statute the Department of Education's prohibition on CRT in K through 12 schools. No taxpayer dollars should be used to teach our kids to hate our country or to hate each other. For Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think, one, was fundamentally dishonest, but two, I think that crossed the line. This state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives.
Turning now to breaking news. Just moments ago, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis did sign a bill, which is now law, to end Disney's special self-governing status, setting up a potential legal fight with one of the state's biggest moneymakers.
Thousands upon thousands of dollars, but because it's getting in the way of their political ambitions for their party and for the governor to become the president of the United States, they will stop at nothing. If they are attacking Disney, if they're attacking Black folks, gay folks, brown folks, immigrants, they will attack you. And we're just trying to raise awareness because at the end of the day, Yesterday, he amended our call for a special session to include the Disney policy, the Disney bill. That was a huge distraction. He didn't want people to know what was going on with his attacks on the Black people and with his attacks on the Black community. And so we're simply asking him to stop the Black attacks. And today I heard again that he is going to probably sign HB 7, and it's just going to be a huge slap in the face of all Black Floridians, all Floridians in general.
So, Representative, a few minutes ago, you did mention the attack by Ron DeSantis and the Florida GOP on things like math textbooks. Last week, the Florida Department of Education rejected 40% of math textbooks that were submitted for review, the majority of which were
I can't hear you. Went out.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Representative?
Okay, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. So I was just saying, Representative, that you mentioned the attack by Ron DeSantis, for example, on math textbooks, which was kind of the latest in the barrage of attacks that we've seen from DeSantis and the other Florida GOP members. The Florida Department of Education last week rejected 40% of math textbooks that were submitted for review, the majority of which were for K through 5. Some of those books were rejected because they, quote, incorporate prohibited topics or unsolicited strategies, including critical race theory. But the Florida DOE did not give examples for why they pulled the textbooks until yesterday after a big furor over that. But reporter Judd Legum has tracked down some of those textbooks, and they appear to contain material like this, Representative, which teaches kids to be kind and respectful to others when learning. You work with these Republicans daily, Representative. Why are they opposed to material like this? Are they opposed to the idea that their own children shouldn't learn to just be commonly decent with others?
So I often tell folks that being a part of this process was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. The fact that we have folks in the front rows who pass legislation to leave us and our communities in despair simply because they can. Literally, that's something that one of the state representatives said when asked why he was doing something. He said, because we can. And so what we have here is a group of people who are so fearful of losing power, who are so fearful of the darkening and browning of our country that they are passing policies to negatively impact our communities. They're passing policies to return us back to the wrong side of history. And so they are fearful that we're going to do to them what they did to us, because frankly put, the Black and brown community is the new majority in the state of Florida. So they are passing bills at all costs to cause Black and brown folks to have felonies so that they cannot vote, to cause Black and brown folks to go to jail, to cause Black and brown folks to not have resources in their schools, to push teachers out of their schools. And we know the majority of kids in public school are Black and brown folks. And so what this is an all-out attack on Black people. And it's so unfortunate. And we have to stop this in November.
Florida State Representative Angie Nixon, thank you for fighting for democracy, but it sounds like we have to take the battle to the ballot box. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm not going to harp too hard on the Black and brown stuff, but we already know in Florida, the brown people, does she mean the white Cubans? Because they brown, allegedly, and they vote Republican. So I don't know what she means by the browning. And then the browning of America thing. But for what's actually going on down there, I think it's a big old mess. But this is what happens. This is what happens when, I don't know, this is what happens when you have crazy people in office. This is what happens when we don't have strong blocks where we can actually punish people when they do legally, without putting our hands on anybody, punish people like, courses for when they attack us. Because how she was just like, we call, we do this and that, we can't get any answer. Like the fact that people can get away with just ignoring us like that just shows that we need to change how we do things. I don't know what y'all got.
The gerrymandering, like just as a general concept, it's problematic, but like I don't really know how to get past it because everybody does it. So I struggle with this one.
Facts.
Like
Are you saying the Democrats like gerrymandering too?
I am, and like I get what it's for. Like in a perfect world, we could use this for for us to like have more political power, but like it just never seems to pan out that way. Gerrymandering consistently like works against us, and I haven't really seen it in my lifetime work for our benefit. And as far as like who's going to prison in Florida, because she did the black and brown thing a lot, I have a problem with that because black people make up about 40% of the prison population. Meanwhile, brown people make up about 12.
Let me jump in here. My homegirl went to prison. She's the white Mexican. She was classified as white in prison, not brown, white.
Yeah, like these statistics just ain't adding up to like these experiences that y'all are like projecting out onto everybody. That's not really what's going on here. Like not everybody has a black experience. Like if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about how they're being racist against black people and brown people individually. Because like if we're gonna talk about what's going on in the prisons, that's not really a brown problem as far as I can see. Unless we're gonna do something about it, unless we're gonna shut down these prisons. But it don't seem like she's actually interested in that. Also, who is she talking to, by the way? It seems like she's not really connected to like her own audience. Like none of this was like an appeal to black people to do something. I have a problem with that as well.
I'll just say this, man. I'll just say this, man. I think that what we're seeing is a direct extension of poll taxes, poll tests, redlining, basically, essentially things that that were put in place between like I say the 1920s to the 60s, like that place where it was like black codes is over, but they're not really over, and sharecropping is still going on. But yeah, but then we have to find out how can we still maintain a certain political power and still keep these people at the bottom. In the Republican Party, the moderate one is built on that. Now, I understand that there are people in our community who are conservative. I understand that, who care about their people deeply, who want to see our people repaired and understand that something was stolen from us and something that's owed to us. But you can't tell me, you could tell me about the Democrats. I know about it. Our whole show is based off the Democrats and the left of the Democrats. They're anti-blackness. We know, we're not supporting that shit. But at the same time, you got Ron DeSantis literally ridiculing, he's a whole state. My grandparents are from Jacksonville, Florida, man. You know what I mean? Like they're from the Cotton Belt of Florida. So at the end of the day, I think it hits a certain place for me because it's like, damn, like, all right, well, Democrats ain't doing shit for us, all right? Republicans, certain things we may agree with or may disagree with, but at the end of the day, we can't have these black people obtaining this much political power. That's the issue. That's the issue. And to pretend that it's not an issue because the Democrats is pieces of shit is like your politics is off. We have no friends, man. We have no friends. And while I'm saying this, you know what? Hey, Pamela Denise Long, I know you're from the GOP, right? You care about reparations, don't you, right? You understand the negative effects immigration has on our community. You break it down well, you understand it, right? And you're part of the GOP. And you think that it could be a bridge built with the GOP. And you want us to go to the GOP when they're doing things like gerrymandering a whole state to not let black people hold political power. My whole thing is that, what are you doing for that? I'm not even getting at you. I feel like we should have people on all sides of the aisle fighting for our collective interests. We're not the same. We're not a monolith. You're right. But staying on code or staying together means that we have what if we know that we need. Everybody from all sides knows that we need to be made whole and be put into our proper position in America. But if I'm not voting for the Democrats, I'm not going to just flip to another party because this is what happens. Shit like this. Why would I vote for that shit? Just because I may agree with one or two things that they, why would I vote for that? To really, a party that would really try to diminish my power. Democrats do it too. So I left the Democrats because they do it too. They go to this party that's really doing it in my face. So I feel like, this is a wake-up call to Negroes that think that, oh, okay, the Democrats ain't shit. I know they ain't shit. I don't fuck with them. But the Republicans ain't the answer fucking either. And that's all I got.
You're right. I agree.
I agree too. And before you go too far, Mud, I just want to say, and this is why we have to be policy over party people. Because like John said, you can't just jump to the Republicans because they're not the Democrats.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are just like, we should vote Republican to punish the Democrats because the Democrats aren't doing the things we need them to do. But there is a reality that the Republicans are actively working against us, and it's in a very overt fashion. Like, they are not even trying to hide it. Democrats, in a lot of ways, yeah, we can say they're working against us also, but at the same time, if we know they're both working against us, we still have to evaluate who is worse. And in a situation where we have someone trying to take away our representation, our ability to participate in politics on an even level, yeah, that just does not work for me. Especially if I'm serious about doing politics. I don't know how you can justify this. So it's hard for me. I hear a lot of Black Republicans. They make an argument about the Democrats, and I'm with them, but I can't just jump on that side. It just does not make sense until I see the Republicans try to make a serious change. I also feel like, I don't know, I'm conflicted about this because at the same time, I don't want to be a vote tap, one of those people oh, they're coming after our right to vote, so we need to go vote for the Democrats. I don't want to be that person. And it's just funny to me, how the Republicans are able to cheat and disenfranchise us, and it doesn't seem like there's much of a fight being put up by the Democrats when they're in power. And this is not like this is something that's just happened in this election, because I mean, my first election was Gore Bush. It seems like in every election of my fucking life, there's always been some shit where the Republicans have been trying to do some funny shit with our ability to vote. And this is an argument that Democrats bring up all the time, but then when they get into power, after we show up to vote, they aren't doing anything to protect our right to vote. In fact, they aren't doing anything to try to skew the balance of power in a way to where they can actually do things to benefit us. I mean, when Biden got elected, they were talking about him possibly packing the Supreme Court. And he has a conservative Supreme Court right now. And everybody's worried about even if we do try to do anything that is safety net or anything for reparations or anything that is considered on the left like a new type of social program is going to be challenged by the Supreme Court. So why didn't Biden and the Democrats like try to make an effort to do that? Like it just seems like the Republicans are the only side that's really playing for like power here. And it's like it almost like really it's almost seems like it's by design in a lot of ways. Like this is all political theater where one side is trying to pretend like they're the good guys and the other side is just openly on some bullshit. And they're both trying to play their roles, but neither side is really trying to do anything that like moves the needle for us. But I don't know what we necessarily do with this other than like, I mean, we gotta fight both sides to the kind of like we're in a quarter where we gotta fight everybody almost. And I know it's weird for a lot of people that are in like this space that we're in, because it seems like we don't want to make any form of allies. But part of that is because we can't trust none of you motherfuckers. Like we can't trust you because none of you are trying to do right by us. And you pushed us into a corner to where we have to kind of be like, the only way we are going to fuck with you is if you're all the way down. Like there can't be any questioning about your motives, because we got shit like this going on. We don't even have a good option when we're saying we're dissatisfied with the party we have, because the other side is trying to fuck us. And there's no other demographic in this country that has that happening. They're being courted by both sides, and we are being rejected by both sides.
God damn. That shit is I don't know, man. Y'all go ahead, man. I already ain't got I said what I had to say about this shit, man. Mud, you absolutely 110% right. Joey's 110% right, and Samuel 110% right as well. Like this shit is fucking crazy. So it's like, you know, like they back us into a corner, and we're trying to figure out a way in which we can obtain and sustain our political power, economic power, social power, and both parties are actively working against us. One is quiet, the other one is loud. So, you know, like we got to do what we have to do. And not gonna lie, there's a guy that be in the comments talking about something. Are you part of Brexit? Do you vote for Trump? We vote for truth. We vote for justice. That's what we support. Justice for Black Americans that we set from slavery. What are you talking about? We don't give. We free thinking Negroes. We got our own minds. We don't lean one way. It depends on the issue, how it affects our people. That's what motherfucking makes our political ideology. You fucking idiot. But my bad. That's all I got, Mud. Mud, you absolutely right. I ain't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, cuz.
Nah,
shit's real.
Nah, I think I was pretty much done. I felt like I was kind of going a little bit too far, but you know.
Nah, that was it. But there's one thing I'll push back on, and it's I don't need nobody to protect my voting rights. I got the same right to vote as any white man in this country. I need you to expand my political power, because a lot of the Democrats like to play this little shell game to where they say, "Oh, we're protecting voting rights. We're protecting voting rights," and it has nothing to do with Black people. Expand Black Americans' political power. That's your political project. Because they play this little game, especially when it comes to voting, like we're ever going to lose like our actual vote. So what the Republicans do is they disrupt our political power. So they just keep doing it every 4 years. Well, like not literally every 4 years, but like that's their project. They just keep disrupting us so we never actually progress.
Yep.
And especially if we only looking up every 4 years.
Traditionally, midterm elections have been years in which the voter turnout is much lower than a presidential election, and particularly in recent history, where the American political scene has been really dominated by the president. We can start that really with John F. Kennedy, when he became a celebrity president, and really everybody increasingly has just sort of seen American political activity originating and swirling around a president. And so if they're interested in the president, well, they turn out for the presidential election. But in the off-year elections, in the midterms, well, the president's not really on the ballot, even if some people tend to see the elections as a referendum on his presidency. So people turn out in lower numbers.
You know, and they just keep doing that. That's how they expand their power. And it just seems that the whole Republican thing is just neo-Confederates.
It makes you want to go and look at these representatives, and I have a feeling if we look at what they've been pushing, it's not Black American issues. So yes, we should still have our districts, but on the other hand, if these Negroes aren't going to represent us, you make it easy for people to come and take them from you because you have no base when it comes time to come out and fight against what's happening.
That's a fact. That's why I asked earlier who she was talking to. Because she ain't got nothing to say to like her own like constituents. Like, hey, Black people, you need to do something. Call somebody.
She's calling white liberal friends. She's calling her white liberal friends and the white rich people. You know, the liberals. She's trying to get in contact with them. That's why she's using Black and brown, things like that, people of color, when they're literally trying to take power, political power, from a district that's majority Black by expanding their Republican district. This shit is like, it's so blatant. This shit is crazy. It's like my Republican, it was this close to this district. You know what? Let's expand that. That whole shit just turned white and red. Like, what? Like that, that is some neo-Confederate shit. But like Sam said, though, we have to think about the people who are representing us anyway. Like, you know, like they wasn't holding it down 10 toes down. So like they really weren't prepared for this kind of attack, or they really, you know, they really thought they was safe. They really thought they was okay.
I wanted to say on one more thing about the distractions, the Black and brown thing, like that definitely was like a dog whistle to the white liberals to come save us. But you notice when they were talking about like how they were switching up the math books or rejecting the math books, all of those examples were Black.
The Florida Department of Education reviewed 132 math textbooks for grades K through 12. Only 78 of them met the state's strict standards. So that means the DOE rejected roughly 4 out of 10 math textbooks from public school curriculums.
And so if we're not going to give our teachers materials to teach, then what's going to happen?
The DOE cited 3 reasons for prohibiting 54 math textbooks from the classroom: references to critical race theory, inclusion of Common Core, and the addition of social emotional learning. Outgoing Commissioner of Education Richard Corcoran says when it comes to education, other states continue to follow Florida's lead as we continue to reinforce parents' rights by focusing on providing their children with a world-class education without the fear of indoctrination or exposure to dangerous and divisive concepts in our classrooms.
You notice when they were talking about like how they were switching up the math books or rejecting the math books, all of those examples were Black. There was no brown examples.
I'm Black, y'all. I'm Black, y'all. I'm Black, Black, y'all.
Facts, man. That's crazy. Facts.
And I do agree with the whole idea that, you know, they're doing the whole Disney thing to distract from what they're doing to the Black people. But then why the fuck did she bring up Disney? Like, why the fuck is she bringing up any of these other groups? Just talk about straight Black people if that's what you're concerned about, the shit being a distraction. But you're playing into the distraction because you think the only way to actually get some help is if you bring other groups into it. You don't think anyone's going to come save Black people. That's what I'm getting out of this. And you don't think Black people can save themselves.
And if that's true, you need to say it. If you don't think anybody's coming, then the least you could do is tell Black people that. Gerrymandering is hard to tackle just because like it's always been a problem. Like this is very relevant and very today, but it's like it's very yesterday too.
That's the thing.
Congressional districts are geographic voting areas represented by a single member of Congress. Gerrymandering happens when a political party in charge carefully slices up voting districts so that the representatives they want to win. They do this by drawing the districts around the populations most likely to support them, or splitting up populations less likely to support them, making this outline of a stegosaurus. The practice is named for Massachusetts politician and founding father you've likely never heard of, Elbridge Gerry. Yes, it's pronounced Gary. Elected to the Continental Congress in 1775, Gerry signed the Declaration of Independence. He was also very involved in shaping the Constitution, but he didn't sign that, because as an anti-federalist, he opposed a stronger federal government, believing the Constitution got the balance of power all wrong. Gerry thought the federal government had way too much of it. Gerry eventually joined the Democratic Republican Party. Yes, that was a real thing. In 1810, at age 65, Gerry was elected governor of Massachusetts. Around this time, the United States was edging toward war with Great Britain. Concerned that Federalists might betray the country, Gerry's party decided to find ways to replace every possible Federalist in office with a Democratic Republican. This included changing Massachusetts districts from reflecting county lines to ones benefiting the Democratic Republicans. In the grand tradition of political satire, an illustrator drew a picture of one of Gerry's new districts, depicting it as a monster that supposedly looked like a salamander. No, a Gerrymander. The drawing ran in the Boston Gazette on March 26, 1812. From that year onward, Elbridge Gerry would be known not for signing the Declaration of Independence, or helping to frame the Constitution, or for being the 5th Vice President of the United States. Yeah, he did that too. Gerry would instead be known for the controversial redistricting practice that bears his name, even though we now pronounce it gerrymandering.
So, like, it's kind of like, I don't want to be like, I'm a Democrat, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck how people feel about us, because we know for a fact that we're literally just being logical. Like, listen, the Democrats do this, but the Republicans do this. So we're trying to really, nigga, this is the truth, and move based off of this truth. We can't really tell nobody what to do or how to feel at all. Like, you know what I mean? I'm really trying to give an olive branch to the conservative, like the Republican Party, the way. Why the fuck, they're trying to stop our black political power.
If they're going to continuously like block us from like progressing politically, then we need to do the same to them. Nobody moves.
So are you saying until you do right by me, everything you touch is gonna crumble?
Exactly.
Are you saying we will kill every Bernie Sanders you put out here until you get reparations?
Yep. Burn it all.
Yep.
I think we just need to like if nobody's going to like play ball with us, we can just let the air out the ball.
Hey, Mud, when I say we'll kill as many Bernie Sanders as you put out there, can you put the picture of Bernie Sanders frowning up his face when Christian Smalls trying to hug you?
What?
He hugged him like, you talking about the picture with Christian Smalls trying to hug Bernie, and Bernie was like, yo, nigga, don't touch me. Like, I'm talking about like don't touch me.
Send me the picture.
Oh,
John had it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. That shit is fucking wild. But nah, it's like, yo, that's what I'm saying. Like, what friends do we really have, man? This shit is crazy. Like, you know, Democrats, they rape us, but like the Republicans, and not only are they actively vocal against us, they do policies just actively. I respect it because they don't hide it. You know, they try to fake hide it. Like, it's not racism, it's just, you know, but they come directly at us, so I see them coming. Democrats try to hide.
It's that Southern strategy shit. Like, it's literally just come out into fruition to where they extracted all of the racism out to economic issues.
Yeah.
So instead of states' rights, it's CRT this week, or wokeism.
Yeah, you're right. They took the culture war. To be honest with you, the culture war is really a reminiscence of black people trying to obtain power. You know what I mean? Like real shit, it's the residue of that.
When I realized the white supremacy behind the war on Christmas, I was like, holy shit, these people are crazy.
And even when you talk about the woke stuff, right? Like, they're expanding teaching about the Holocaust everywhere.
only Black shit that they're pushing back against. That's another reason why this people of color stuff is some bull. Because like you said with her thing, she was all the examples she used were Black. And then she threw in people of color. Like towards the end, you got a little tipsy. If you was drinking like a real drink, you were drunk. Because she said people of color and Black and brown like 10 times back to back.
Yeah, and like out of that prison stuff, like I want y'all to remember, like 4.7 out of every 10 people in a Florida prison is a Black person. 1.2 of them is and brown. We ain't got the same problems
At all, but they love to just lump us together. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like people just mix everything up on my fucking plate when you serve me. Some shit need to be separated.
I do not want collard greens on the cornbread.
Together on the plate.
Don't put collard greens on top of the cornbread. Please don't do it. We going real shit. We going maybe a new plate.
Cornbread?
Separate it. Separate it. If I'm gonna dip it in the cup, separate it.
The legislature, as expected, has passed a new congressional map accepting the plan handed to the House and Senate by Governor DeSantis. Black and Democratic members protested because the redesigned districts will strip away minority representation on Capitol Hill. Some legislators staged a sit-in on the chamber floor, praying and singing "We Shall Overcome." Kent is following the story and spoke today with Congressman Al Lawson, who has been closely following this special session. Kent?
Yeah, Tom, absolutely following this because Congressman Lawson serves in a district that stretches from Duval County to Tallahassee, and his district has been radically redrawn. This is the new congressional district map approved by the House after the Senate approved it yesterday. The new congressional District 5 replaces CD4, where John Rutherford serves now. The new CD4 has Nassau, Duval, and Clay County voters. Representative Lawson doesn't buy the reasoning he's heard from Governor DeSantis.
And he said he's doing it to make district race neutral. And I said, well, how do you define race neutral, you know? But when you look at other portions of the district that he has, especially in South Florida, you know, they went even around the Everglades to find more Hispanics for Mario Diaz-Balart, you know, and a lot of those districts are not really compact. And so it is interesting that this would happen, and it's going to take millions of dollars in the court system when that shouldn't happen. Those are taxpayers' dollars they're spending.
Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry has been rumored as a replacement in Congress, depending on how the new seat was drawn. Well, the mayor said today he's encouraged to consider running, and then backtracked just a few minutes later. This tweet says, after some time to reflect, I will continue to serve Jax as mayor until the end of my second term. The next year and a half, I will finish what I started and ensure Jax is in position to continue its record growth and progress. Because the new congressional seat is important for the city's future, I will meet with prospective candidates, offer my support, and encourage others to support the Republican I believe is best positioned to help us achieve our city's best future. Al Lawson told me today he's not sure what he'll do about his place in the House of Representatives, but said he's still considering his options. Lawsuits are expected to challenge the new maps as soon as tomorrow.
Listening to Reset Race, you now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, back on the grill again. We grilling them, You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to US Southern plantations. Penniage, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win, you need our energy. Go on, see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice plan. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
The president, he's got his war. You and me, we don't know what the war is for. Nobody gives us rhyme or reason, and if you have one doubt, they call that treason. Unreal values and fast extortion.
Join us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Reset Race Network.